Pre-game, time, and distance going, and he's gone!
All right, guys, welcome to the Patriots podcast. We are doing a 2025 Patriots mock draft here. I want to do a full 7-round mock draft, get a little bit realistic as far as what we're doing on the number 4 pick, depending on how it falls. Potentially trade out and get some more picks, and then potentially trade back up into the first or second round if we see somebody fall that we feel like is too good of a value to pass up on. So I'm not going to throw all next year's picks out here and make a unrealistic draft. We're going to play this as if we're the Patriots draft room and see how this falls. So let's see how it falls. Cameron Ward goes 1 to the Titans. Armand Membu. So the Browns go offensive tackle, and Will Campbell goes for the New York Giants. That is very interesting. So they take out Will Campbell controversy. You know, we have talked about like how big is his arm's length, being under 33 inches. Can he actually play tackle? Even though that was his position for an X number of years. But I'm going to keep this as simple as it is. A lot of people are hot on Travis Hunter as far as him being the number 1 wide receiver on the board for the Patriots, as well as being the number 1 corner. I think he's a better corner than he is a wide receiver. But the good news is you can mix him in on both, depending if it's heavy on defense or heavy on offense. The great thing about him at corner is he attacks the ball. Like, I haven't seen a corner with such sure hands. You don't see balls bounce off his hands. Like, if it's catchable at all, he's gonna catch it. And he's the one coming in at an awkward angle versus a wide receiver who knows the route, knows when the ball's coming. That being said, Abdul Carter, I think, is just too much of a talent right now. We're building up on defense. Why not add that blue chip player that people have to game plan for, like JJ Watt, TJ Watt, basically a Myles Garrett type of player who you have to know where he is on the field at every play. This is a guy that's going to play all 4 downs, and he's going to be an absolute monster getting to the backfield. In the AFC East, we got Josh Allen, we got Tua, and now we got, depending on who the Jets pick, Aaron Rodgers or some young stud. They might trade up and pick up a Shador, or even a Jackson Dart. I could see them taking. So at number 4, we are keeping it simple. We're picking. We're not trading back. We're going to take Abdul Carter. And we just seen Travis Hunter goes 5 to Jags. Tedero McMillan for the Raiders, which makes sense. You know, they have a good tight end. They probably want to pair up Geno Smith with that number 1 clear wide receiver. Tedero McMillan, you know, Geno Smith's used to throwing a DK Metcalf, so he's used to that bigger outside body that can go up and attack him. He's got a good deep ball. He's one of the best passers last year. And then Shador Sanders, number 7 of the Jets. So I kind of saw that coming where they can pick a young Shador. It's exactly what happens. And then Will Johnson, most people have him as the number 1 or number 2 corner behind Travis Hunter. So he goes to the Panthers. Let's go ahead and resume this and see how it goes. Mason Graham's still on the board. Ashton Genty still on the board. This is almost where I would consider trading up with the Saints and taking Ashton Genty, just because I honestly think he's going to be the next Saquon Barkley. Like, he's going to be an outstanding runner. He's going to get you 1,000+ yards no matter what for the next 5, 7, 8+ years. I think he's a Hall of Fame running back. 2,600 yards. The dude broke more tackles than the number 2 guy behind him, plus like 30, you know? So I'm going to see what it's going to take here for the Saints. And I know they've got some new coaching over there, so I'm sure they wouldn't mind picking up some extra drafts. The only thing is, I think it would take our second and next year's first, which I know sounds crazy now, but to get Ashton Genty, we have our quarterback, we have our blue chip edge rusher, now we have our blue chip running back. Josh McDaniels going to know how to get the most out of him, and it's also going to help Drake May not have to go out there and throw the ball 40 times a game. And we have 2 picks in the third, so we can kind of use that to kind of mitigate the loss of this second-round pick here. I know we want to get an offensive lineman. That 38 pick is most realistically going to have some good options, but again, if we see somebody that falls in between 38 and 69, we can always double those third round picks and move up. So I feel pretty comfortable offering this. Let's see if the Titans accept it. I mean, the Saints. No, and they reject it. Okay, so I'm willing to go a little bit pricier than that, just a little bit, because I have a feeling the Bears are going to take Ashton Genty. That's why I'm trying to get this trade right here for number 9. And do we go a third round pick here? Like, is this already too pricey for you guys, or how do you feel? Let me know in the comments. I honestly think a next year's 6 from Kansas City. That's who we acquired for Josh Uche. We acquired that pick. And how about 217 here? Man. Okay, I'm going to try one more time. I'm going to get a little bit healthier. If that doesn't do it, let's just stay where we are. We'll live to see another day. We'll fill some more holes. It might not be a blue chip player, but that's 38. That's first next. And I'll go 77, and I'll do next year's third. So we still have a third. We still have next year's second. We have about 5 picks we have 6 picks from 106 to 238. And if we do well, this first round pick next year might be like a 15th overall, maybe 10th overall. And that's got to be pretty enticing for the Saints. So we'll trade our second rounder, next year's first, a third, a 77 overall this year. Man. Okay. Am I crazy if I offer anything more than that? I'll do the same thing, but I'll throw in the 6th round pick. We'll see if that changes anything. So 38, a first, next year's third, next year's 6th, and a 217. What is that? 5 picks for one? Okay. Okay. So let's see if they take them. All right, Mason Graham right here. Let's make the same offer to the Bears. They've got a new head coach. Maybe he feels like, hey, look at all these picks. We can rebuild the way I want, the way I recommend. Let's just say next year's second too. Screw it. I want Ashton Jetty. You know? Let's let him say no to a third first. And I'll give him a third round this year and a 6th. And a 6th here. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay. This is taking too much time now for the trade, so we're gonna do one aggressive push for it here. And we'll trade you a third year. That's it. That's as good as I'm going. If he doesn't accept it, so pick 38, pick 77, next year's first and second. Nope. Okay. So I'm guessing Ashton Genty's going off the board right here. Yep. And just like I called it. Okay, so Bears take Ashton Genty. Tyler Warren is still out here. So is Calvin Banks. I'm also keeping my eye on this guy right here, Josh Simmons. So let's go ahead and let this resume a little bit. Let's see if there's a run of offensive lines. Okay, so Matthew Golden goes to the Cowboys. They always pick stud wide receivers. That's how they do the draft, I swear to God, every year. Tyler Booker and Tyler Warren go. Let's let it go a little bit more. Kel Williams. Okay, so Calvin Banks just went, which means Josh Simmons is probably the best on the board right here. We need a left tackle. I don't see the Bucs or the Broncos taking either of those. The Chargers just took an offensive lineman last year. I don't see them taking him. And they take Luther Burden. Okay. So Nick Scorton. So right here would make sense for the Texans to pick up Josh Simmons. I know they just kind of signed somebody in free agency, but Them or the Rams. Rams just locked somebody up. The Ravens still have Stanley, so I'm gonna let it try and go one more here. Okay, so Josh Simmons is still out there. This is where we're gonna propose a trade to the Commanders. They traded a couple picks in free agency for players, picking up Deebo Samuel for a fifth. So I'm sure they'd like to acquire. We're only moving up 11 spots. So I think a first and next year's third, and we'll give them the 6th round pick. Man, the trades are impossible on here. I would take that. Are you kidding me? 38. And we'll do next year's second. And I'll give them 144. So 38, 144. Next year's 2nd round pick. Let's go. Let's go. All right, so we get our starting left tackle. That's a small price to pay. Okay, we weren't going to get him at 38. That's for sure. And next year's second, honestly, it could be a 45th overall pick. I'm okay with that. Two 40-round picks for a lockdown Josh Simmons. So that's what we're gonna do here. Resume the draft. Of course, they're gonna try and offer us to get out of it. No, not even close to my asking what I would pay. Let's keep this simple. I'll show you all best players left. Josh Simmons, best player left. Emeka Egbuka, I think he's a solid wide receiver. I would love to get him as well. Ohio State wide receiver. They're absolute studs. This guy is somebody that can plug in kind of like a Julian Edelman for us for those extra 9-10 years where he was just getting open. He was the route runner. He was the quick twitch. I think this guy kind of does everything. See, it even says a third down machine who consistently gets opens, move the chains, extremely strong hands, outstanding body control, ball skills, strength to make catches in contested situations. Just a tough, versatile, solid wide receiver. We're going to take the offensive tackle that gives us time to throw to those wide receivers. And let's see if we can luck out here. Okay, so Jackson Dart goes to the Browns. So that was their approach there. If you remember, they picked Armand Mumbu. So they locked down what they thought was the best tackle in the draft. They got him. Now they take their quarterback Jackson Dart at 33 overall. Then Benjamin Morrison, Mike Green, who a lot of people had lower, going a lot earlier in this draft. He's probably like the number 4 overall edge rusher in this draft. But we have Colston Loveland. We have Emeka. The only other players here, Arianti Ursary, he's definitely somebody that if he kind of falls into our lap in the later round, I would definitely be happy. But I'm not trading up for a tight end just because we are as good as this prospect is. We're too good at that position right now, and we're too bad at other positions to even consider this. Emeka here, honestly, at 36 would be worth trading up and getting. We're gonna see what the Jaguars, who honestly need a wide receiver, they got rid of Christian Kirk this year. We would need to give up a lot, I'm guessing. And this might sound crazy, but we have missed so many times on wide receivers. Last year we traded down. We took 2 for the price of 1, and they're worth 0. We had N'Keal Harry, didn't work out. We had Tyquan Thornton, didn't work out. This guy, Emeka Egbuka, there's no question he doesn't work out. Name me a stud Ohio wide receiver that didn't work out. And I know you can ask any team in the NFL right now if they would put this guy in the top 3 wide receivers. I guarantee you that he's on there. Luther Burden. Maybe you put Travis Hunter out there. McMillan, Egbuka, they're kind of hand in hand in my eyes, honestly, minus the size difference. I think Egbuka had better production. So we're going to offer the 69 overall and next year's first. That's a small price to pay to move up and get our number 1 wide receiver. He's 6 foot, 200 pounds. although he's a slot receiver, I know we have kind of our slot receiver solidified with Demario Douglas, but I'm all for having. You see, the NFL is kind of moving to these quicker twitch, just get open. It's no longer a day of like, okay, you have a slot receiver, you have a big guy on the outside, he goes deep, you go short. No, these offenses are getting more complicated. The defenses are getting more complicated. So I'm happy with this. 6 foot, 200 pounds. You can kind of put him wherever. Our offense is not go downfield, throw the ball 60 yards, and hope he catches it. Especially with Josh McDaniels. He goes for having an answer to every defense. That means being able to run a different route every play and still get open. So, resume the draft. I feel really good about this. I'm not trading out. Give me my starting wide receiver for the next 8 years. Develop with Drake May. I'm feeling good about this draft so far. I don't know how you guys feel. I know there's some people out there that say we need to acquire picks, not give them up. We have so many holes. I think we built a foundation, honestly, through free agency, which kind of helped us not having to go that route. I know it's mainly on defense, but we have players that will slowly kind of build our foundation on offense. Once we get the offensive line figured out, our tight end room is looking really good right now. Our running back room, that's probably going to be where I go next, honestly, here, because we went so heavy defense in the free agency. I think we're going to be surprised who's left here. 149, 111. We're not trading next year's picks. This would honestly be enticing right here. Pick 88 for 77, and we pick up a 126. I need to see. Ariante Ursary would be worth it for me right now. He's what, number 41 on the board, and he's down here at 77. I mean, that's pretty much a no-brainer, right? The problem is, if we can go 10 more spots, I just don't know who stands out where I think they're there in 10 spots that I'm excited about. You know? Like offensive tackle, I really only like Ursary here. The only other guy who I have my eyes on is Ozzie Trapelo. Look at it, 6'8", 316. Dude's gonna be an absolute stud, whether you have to put him at guard or you see how he does at tackle. But we already picked up Josh Simmons. The only thing I would think for him, being a 6'8", long arms, good run blocker, I mean, you can plug him in anywhere and he's going to do good. But what if he comes out and it is our right tackle for the next 5-10 years? I think I don't see him going and lasting another 10 picks. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to take Ariante Ursary. I think that's probably the steal of the draft right there. If I'm Mel Kiper watching the draft, I'm saying, wow, the Patriots just got an absolute steal. Top 5 offensive lineman in the draft, all the way at 77. Unheard of. I can't believe they let it slide. So we're looking pretty good right now. My next pick is at 106, and that's where I might go running back here, depending on who's left. Or we're just going to look at overall. We might go D-tackle, edge here, or get a young running back, or tight end. Elijah Arroyo, 6'5", 250. That's kind of the size that they like. I'm honest, I don't know much about this guy. It says he's an effective blocker in the run game. It says he's very raw, though, which exposes some concerns of his blocking. But, I mean, a young athletic guy, we don't need him to be good year 1 or year 2, honestly, be our number 1. He can develop and be that guy. But I think right now, the position we're in, we don't have time to pick a developer. We need someone that's going to come in and be a difference maker. And I think our difference maker's looking right here at us. Kyron Lacey, 6'2", 213. This is somebody that we can put on the outside and say, hey, go use your body, go up and get those contested catches. And this is someone's going to have to put a bigger corner on, somebody that kind of demands more respect. I think this is a guy, especially coming out of LSU, that's a wide receiver factory. I think he could earn the spot and be our basically number 1 wide receiver. So we're going to go ahead and draft him. And look, right as I say that, look what happens. A run of wide receivers. So you got Anthony Belton, Bashul Tutton, and then Torrey Horton, Pat Bryant, Zy Alexander, RJ Mickens, Trey Wedgins, or Wedig. Now let's see how it falls. I don't think anybody right now is worth trading up for. The funny thing is, Ozzy Trapalo's there, right here. If we get a third offensive lineman, honestly, that would absolutely solidify our offensive line. And I don't think it's a competition. I don't think it's a competition. Then you could really put Ursary out at your right tackle, have Josh Simmons be your left tackle, and then you got Trapalo being a stud. I mean, this is the 6'8", 316. The guy's an absolute monster. He's got long arms. He's good at run blocking. Obviously, he's going to be a little bit harder on those quick twitch edge defenders or D tackles, but this is somebody you're not going to just bowl over. 6'8", 315 pounds. I mean, Joe Alton last year, who got picked number 4, pretty much the same measurables there. So this guy, Boston College, very good offensive line there. I'm going to say the Ravens know Stanley, who was their left tackle they just re-signed. They want someone to develop under him, and Ozzy would be the perfect fit. I think right now the value is there if we can trade up. And I know I'm giving up picks whenever we trade up, but if it's a guy you love, like I honestly think he's worth it, then what are we talking about? You know, it's better than trading down, and now we've got 2 players that aren't even making the team, potentially, aka last year with the wide receiver room. You know, we pick up Jalen Polk, we pick up Javon Baker. Neither one saw the field more than 20% of the snaps of the whole game. So let's do this. We trade with the Ravens. Say, give me that tackle. Problem is, we're gonna have to give up next year's picks, which I'm okay with. I'm okay if we go into next year and we don't have a pick until the 4th round. I'm okay. You know why? Because we're building a foundation right now. We've got a new coach. We've got a young quarterback. We've got a young offense. We've got a young defense. Get these guys in. Let them develop. We're not 1 or 2 players away from going to the Super Bowl. Okay? I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this. I know it's funny because I said at the beginning I wasn't going to trade all our picks from next year, but the way this draft's falling, if I see any of these trades actually happen on draft day, I feel great about it. Honestly, I feel good. So let's resume it. We get our guy, and out of all the players, he's the second best. Like I said, we're not going tight end here. We're taking Ozzy Trapalo out of Boston College. By the way, if you don't know, Bill O'Brien is the guy over there at Boston College. He just gave Ozzy a standing ovation, basically, for all the media. That he's not telling Mike Vrabel who to draft, but he's saying if you draft him, you're going to be very happy. You can read that online as well, but here we go. Let's take Ozzy. Let's see how the draft falls here. Now, we don't have a pick till 220. And I'm watching the board. I'm seeing if anybody, falls 30, 40 spots, then maybe that's someone we go out and get. But right now, it's looking like nobody's really falling more than 20 spots from where they're projected. Okay, the running back just went. Honestly, he was the only guy that we still technically have a big need at. But, I mean, we do have one of the better running backs. He just had a problem with fumbling. Okay, so we're about 50 picks away. Defensive tackle. These guys I'm not too knowledgeable on. So I can't say, hey, this guy or this guy is worth it. We're not really going to give up any more picks next year. So we're just going to see how it falls here. I do want to take a look at running back because Jaden Blue is actually somebody I am a fan of, and I could see him falling and being there at 220. So if we get lucky here. Okay, so there's a run of running backs now. He's projected at 195. We're right at pick 200. and he just went to the Browns, unfortunately, which makes sense. That makes sense. They do need a running back as well. It's a whole run of running backs, unfortunately. Jaden Blue, Jarquez, Kalo. All right, let's see who's there at 220. Let's go back to overall. Cody Lindenberg. Our linebacker position is solidified. Especially we just we matched Raiders' offer for Christian Ellis, who got like 2 interceptions, forced fumble recovery, got like 60 tackles, had one of his best years. So we don't need linebacker. We take a look at edge. Tyler Batty is actually somebody that's pretty good. If I remember correctly, he's pretty much a good all around edge rusher. He's got decent athletic score, 6'5", 271. He's a fifth-year senior, so he's got that experience. Exceptional run defender, which is obviously kind of going to be our style on defense, make the teams have to throw the ball. And he's got a high floor, also a high ceiling, if you ask me. His mauling mentality and strong foundation will enable him to contribute immediately at the professional level while further develop past his pass rushing ability. So I think this is a good spot, actually. The way this fell, I'm not mad at it. And this is somebody that we can develop, put on the opposite side of Abdul Carter. And now our offense and our defense is looking pretty good. I think we'll also be able to get somebody here, even though it's not going to be a top 10 running back. A lot of these running backs have been third, fourth round picks who end up being the top 10 running back in the league the next year, after a year of development. But a lot of edge people here is what I'm sorry. There we go. Defensive tackle is the best player on the board. Ty Hamilton. So 6'2", 300 pounds. The only thing I'm thinking for defensive tackle is if Christian Barmore continues to have problems, we probably will have a hole on the defensive tackle side. He won less than 5% of his pass rushing reps. So he's not a pass rusher. He's really just kind of a run stuffer. But says he's a consistent tackler. He's only had 10% missed tackles, which is pretty good. That's what you want on a, team that's just trying to build a foundation, is good football players that know how to tackle. I don't see myself taking a defensive tackle here. I honestly think we're going to take Trevor Etienne out of Georgia. He gives me the kind of James White, Sony Michel, maybe not the same skill level, but the same kind of playing ability where he can break out and be a good run catcher. He's at 5'8", 200 pounds, right in that same size as probably our most successful running backs. Danny Woodhead, Sony Michel, Stephen Ridley, all these guys that came in who weren't, popping off of the screen on the draft day, but turned into really good runners. Possesses good hands as a receiving threat out of the backfield. In order to elevate his impact at the NFL level, both need to add some bulk and work, which Mike Vrabel, obviously, he knows how to get his players to exact playing weight he wants, what he sees, the style for them. He's already got defensive players losing weight to match his style. I'm sure they'll do the same thing on offense, especially with Josh McDaniel being able to hand him the keys, being a past head coach, as well as Doug Marrone for the offensive line. We got a really good coaching staff to kind of get these guys max value out of what they could be. So, Trevor Etienne, and we solidify that running back spot that we needed. I feel really good about this draft. I feel like we addressed every need with not a reach, which has been every draft for the past 10 years. And like I said, we're not a one and done draft away from being one of the best teams. Look at this. We've got 8 really good picks. Okay, so let's grade our picks here because I don't know how everybody else is going to feel. So I'm going to grade them afterwards, and then you guys can kind of tell me where you think I did wrong, did good, did better than you could have imagined. Abdul Carter. That's an A. That might even be an A+. I mean, that's ideal for if we could get the best player in the draft, talent-wise, position-wise, it's Abdul Carter. If you say generational talent, I think it's him, Ashton Genty, and Travis Hunter. Those are your only 3 that you're really debating with. Quarterbacks aren't even in the discussion. But Abdul Carter here, easiest pick I've ever seen. Take him. Let's see what happens. We traded up for Josh Simmons. I'm giving that pick an A. I'm giving that pick an A. Yes, what you paid might be a little bit steep, but it gives you, honestly, in my opinion, the best guy at that position in the draft at 29. So did it cost you a little bit? Yeah, but does it fill a need? Does it give you one of the best players at the position? A guy you can plug in right now and know that he's played that position. We don't have to take a tackle or guard and say, hey, can you move to left tackle, learn a whole new position? No. Plug and play. Plug and play. Make him better. Protect Drake May's blind side. And this guy's probably going to be a starter for the next 10 plus years. We'll go on to 36 overall. We traded up as well for this pick. Did we give up a lot? Yes. Did we get a player that has a potential to be one of the top 3 wide receivers in this whole draft class, if not a top 15 wide receiver next year, production wise? Josh McDaniels and Drake May are going to put together a solid offense. So if you have somebody like Amika who comes from a winning football team, and that's what the Patriots need. They need winners. They need football players. They need ballers that are going to go out, learn an offense, understand it, have a good route tree, be able to come up with a comeback, a slant, a vert, a go, a curl, a zig, a drag. This guy can run all of them, and he's got decent size. He's got decent weight. He's got decent speed, but he's a baller. He's a baller. This guy's the number 1 wide receiver on our team, without a doubt, as soon as he gets on the field. I'm giving that B plus or an A, honestly. I think out of the receivers that we could have got for what we paid, I'm happy with it. 77 overall, that's an A plus. That's an A plus. This guy was number 40 something on the board when we picked him at 77. I mean, that's almost doubling where his projection was. Aside from that, I had a lot of people getting the Ursary in the first round, late second. So to get him at 77, I think is a steal. He's a clear offensive tackle starter. He's a top 5 offensive line player in my eyes in the whole draft. To get him at 77, that's an A plus. Kyren Lacy, I'm gonna give this a B. I don't feel great about it, but I think sitting here waiting for it to come to you and still getting a guy who is a wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. If we didn't pick up Amika, this guy's our new wide receiver 1. It's not even close. I mean, what? Kendrick Bourne, is he our number 1? Demario Douglas, he's in the slot. He's kind of limited. You're not going to put him out wide. This is a true X receiver, 6'2", over 200 pounds. This is someone that's going to be able to use their body, but he's also got quick twitch where he's not going to struggle to get open. He's not going to struggle to create separation, but he has the longer wingspan. He has the longer catch radius, sure hands. And from LSU, partner him up with Booty, who's probably our number 1 in my eyes, or number 2 at least. So now you've got Amika, you got Kyren, you got Booty, and you got Demario Douglas. Those are your starting 4 wide receivers in my eyes. Kendrick Bourne, he's on his way out. He's had injuries. He's a baller in the locker room, but he just hasn't been that productive on the field. I mean, your best ability is availability. Okay. Our next pick, I'm giving this one a B plus. Ozzy, I think it was projected 111. We got him at 129. I think we traded up for him, but I think that's worth it. For what we gave up, what was it, a 4th round next year or a 3rd round next year? It doesn't matter to me. 129, you get an absolute stud. I mean, this guy's 6'8", 315 pounds. Putting a body that size alone that has experience that he does, you're going to have a good guy. Look at this. Displays good footwork, balance, allowing him to handle speed rushers while maintaining a strong base against power moves. He excels in run blocking. That's what we need. That's what we need. The guys we have at offensive line right now, they were not cutting it. They were not cutting it. We were switching positions on guys till week 8, all the way to like week 12, week 13. This is probably one of the better offensive lines we would have since Tom Brady was in here. And I don't even think it's close. So you have absolute monster. You got Josh Simmons, you got Ozzy, you got Ariante Ursary, you got the new center from the Vikings, you got Cole Strange, who could probably be an interior left, interior right guard, and then you've got a right tackle out from the Jets that we just acquired too. So I think this overall is looking absolutely superb right now. Like this, if this actually happens, I couldn't be more happy. This is the best draft I've seen out of the Patriots in 15 years. No, I'll take it back. Maybe 10 years. 10 years. We go to pick 220. Tyler Batty. Tyler Batty is a dog. He's a dog. This was probably the healthiest position in the whole draft at edge. To get Tyler Batty at 220, I mean, this guy played for BYU. Yes, he's a little bit heavier than most of your edge rushers in the speed department. But these guys are freaks nowadays. 271, 6'5". That's a massive human being. He also just happens to be a freak athlete. Um, he's an exceptional run defender, long frame, powerful playing style, and he offers a high floor prospect, which means if this guy does get better, like he's gotten the past 3 years at BYU, he's going to be a starter in the league for a long time, and hopefully with the Patriots. But I think him paired up with Abdul Carter, paired up with Harold Landry, and you've got the middle linebackers there. You've got Keon White, you've got Christian Barmore. That's a nightmare. I'm sorry, but that's a nightmare. If you're the offensive coordinator trying to game plan against that, and these guys are going to get better in the next year, 2, 3. I'm sorry, but you're then we're going back to the days of when we were a top 5 defense and when people actually feared to play the Patriots. Okay. Our last pick, by the way, Tyler Batty, I'm giving that a B plus. I'm giving that a B plus for that late to get that high of a prospect. I'm sorry, but that's an awesome pick. I'm saying it's not as good as Ariante Ursary here, but that's probably the next best pick value wise. 238. I think this solidifies our draft. This is like the cherry on top to make an absolute perfect draft. You get a running back with the typical build for Josh McDaniels. He has that piece now, that chess piece that he can move around. Yeah, is he going to be a little bit smaller if you're trying to pass block with him? It doesn't matter. Josh McDaniels is really good about helping his offensive line. So he might line up next to Drake May, break on an out route, chip an edge defender, buy him an extra second, and be that check down option that we don't really have. We have Stephen Ridley and then we have Austin Gibson, which Gibson's more of a speed back. Ramondre's, I know they want to get rid of him. I mean, if you fumble the ball seven times in a season, I don't care if you're a 1,000-yard rusher. You're not doing well enough to where you're maintaining your value here, okay? And Trevor Etienne is gonna be that perfect 1-2 if we do get rid of Gibson or Ramondre Stevenson. And I think he gives us someone that we don't have as far as a receiving running back. This guy can catch the ball, break out, make a defender miss, and go for 20, 30 yards. We haven't had that guy. And he can also sub in, first down, third down, put fresh legs out there, somebody quick that can cut up in this league, especially behind our new offensive line. If everybody performs the way they were, you're looking at a nasty defense. So let's just picture this, maybe a year or two, 2027 season. You got Drake May, you've got Trevor Etienne or Ramondre Stevenson as your starting running back. You've got Hunter Henry or Austin Hooper at tight end. You've got Josh Simmons, left tackle. You've got Cole Strange, left guard. You've got the Vikings center we just signed at center. You got Ariante Ursary as an interior or right tackle. And then you've got Ozzy Trapolo as the other guard, 6'8". I mean, that's a wall of human beings. That doesn't even count like who we have now, really, in the draft, like from last year. I know we have Caden Wallace and we have one or two other guys. I'm just not crazy about them. Like none of them stood out on paper where it's like, wow, They may not have been in that position the whole time, but when they were, they did what? There was nobody that jumped out at you like this. These guys on anybody's board is a step above as far as skill. So overall, I am giving this draft an A plus. And I know I'm grading myself pretty high here, but out of all the mock drafts I've done, this has got to be probably the best as far as I'm happy with giving away next year's draft picks if it gives us a draft that looks this good. I mean, if we get all these players, tell me where our hole is. Tell me where, man, you did not fill that need. You did not get a player like there's not any. I don't see. Like, yes, could we have grabbed a corner? Yeah, could we have grabbed a safety? But those aren't jumping out at you like, hey, you're going to be an immediately better football team if you fill it. No, we're good where we are right now. All of these guys are going to be starters in my eyes. I don't see any of these guys not working out. I see them only making the competition better at every position. And in my eyes, you've got Abdul Carter, day one starter. Josh Simmons, day one starter. Amika, your best wide receiver, immediate starter. Ariante Ursary, you're putting him in the game. Week one. Kyron Lacey, he might be the only one that you take the Jalen Polk route and let him develop a little bit. Maybe Jalen Polk comes in and can be a producer this year, and then he kind of fights like a booty where year 2, year 3, he earns that starting role. Ozzie Trapolo, he's a day one starter. Tyler Batty, who else do we have on the edge right now? Anthony Jennings? Come on. Tyler Batty is a day one starter. You put him on the other edge along with Tyler Batty. You got Keon White. You got Harold Landry, who can kind of tutelage these guys and be their kind of, here's what you do from a veteran's perspective. I know you're the young gun, but here's what I know wisdom-wise, and makes them a better player. We have veterans in the offensive tackle position now. We have veterans in the wide receiver room. We have veterans in the edge rushers. We have veterans in D tackles. That's kind of our attack for how Mike Vrabel is building this team. Veteran coaching, get a veteran player who's good at his position, at almost every position, that can coach the younger guys. So you have not only coaching going on from player to player, but from coach to player. I'm so happy with this. Guys, let me know what you think. This has been Patriots Podcast Mock Draft 2025 post free agency. I think we got 40 days to the draft, not even 30 days. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you agree, disagree with any personal selection here. And I will talk to you guys later. All right. Deuces.